Hello, everybody. I am Auretha, and I am a life and style catalyst, and I help people transform their life and their image, and their branding. Sometimes with image, which involves personal shopping. And my friend Pat Herberger here has some great tips on how to protect us from thieves and scammers over the holidays for our online shopping.
Thank you very much. Yes, it almost seems like Black Friday is not one day anymore. It's an entire season. They started their Black Friday sales, I think, in October because the stores are hurting for sales. So you're going to see Black Friday deals all over. And Cyber Monday is no longer just a 24-hour event. It just goes on and on and on because people started doing more online shopping during COVID, and they just keep continuing. So there are some risks involved, and I want to give you some tips on things to do to try to reduce your risk. And part of it is how you connect. Now, I know it's very tempting to just buy something while you're on your cell phone, or you see something come through Facebook and it's like, oh, this is a good deal, I'm going to buy it. But so many times, and I've heard from friends of mine say, I thought I was buying this certain item on this Facebook deal and I paid for it, and the money came out of my account or got charged my credit card. I never got the item. It wasn't a real link. But also, where are you connected? Because a lot of times people will go to coffee shops or they'll go to grocery stores or places where they have free Wi-Fi. And you don't want to do that. You want to be in a secure location. Even if you maybe have your laptop, use your phone connection, your phone internet is better than using a free Wi-Fi, because anytime you use free Wi-Fi and it's an open network, a hacker can get in there. And if you're putting your credit card information, your bank account information, it's a free for all and they can just get in there. So you want to make sure that you're using, your phone hotspot if you're on your laptop top or home. And I always tell people, if you have a router, I hope you change the password and the passcodes on your router when you installed it, because sometimes they're just defaults that are very common and people can figure out what those are and hack right into your router. But you also want to make sure you're safe based on how you're paying. I always tell people, use your credit card. Don't use a debit card, because if someone gets your debit card information, they're going to be able to go right through to your bank account and take all the money they want, come back out and leave you with nothing. Whereas with a credit card, you have more protection legally. So say somebody uses your credit card to buy something and you didn't do it. You have 60 days from when you should have received the bill to dispute something like that. So you can write a letter, make a phone call, do an official dispute. You have 60 days for that. If it's using your debit card, which is your bank account, the amount of time you have is decreased significantly. You might only have 24 or 48 hours to dispute something like that to get all of your money back. So you really have to be careful. So I tell people, never use your debit card because it's a direct link, right into your bank account. And just even emails we get, we really have to look at them with skepticism. I can't tell you how many phishing, PHISHING emails I get every day with deals, and you've won and activate your $100 gift card and we've got a deal for you. I just delete them all. If you see a deal in an email or Facebook, go directly, separately to that website to do your shopping, because it's going to be safer than trying to, click on some link which looks like a link but maybe takes you somewhere else. And there's also fake delivery notices too that you might click on, and you're expecting packages. Everyone's expecting packages nowadays, and it might say, "Hey, your package was delivered," or "Your package is going to be delivered tomorrow." You should really go to the UPS, the FedEx, the USPS.com website and put in whatever the shipment number is or whatever code they gave you to see if it really is that. Because what happens when you click on these links, even though you might say to yourself, I'm not going to give them any information, I'm just going to read what they have to say. It can download keylogging software right on your computer. And keylogging software keeps track of every keystroke that you make. And I was in a presentation, the top of security, cybersecurity for a casino where I live. She said, you don't even have to click on anything in an email anymore. If you just open the email, it can download this keylogging software. So it's, you have to be suspicious, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, is question everything. And I mean, sometimes people even buy a VPN, virtual private network, to make sure that their information is safe. But another big thing is passwords. People have these passwords that they use. I just think I just read it was like 40% of the people use the same passwords over and over and over again, and it might even been a higher percentage. I have a different password for every account. I probably have been on 200 or 250 websites where they ask you to create an account just to buy something. A lot of times I'll try to be just a guest, so I don't have to create an account. Just, if they let you check out as a guest and you're not putting everything in there. But I never save my passwords. I never save my logins to any website I go on, whether it's a banking website, it's a fund website. I always say no. I don't want you to save my username, my passwords, nothing like that. I know it's a pain because then you have to put it in every time you go to the website, and it's not just, oh, I'm automatically in there, but it does keep you safe and secure. And for the time you'd have to try to undo all that damage, it really does help you out. And I have this thing about passwords. I tell people to think of a phrase to make it easier, to make it more difficult, if that makes any sense. But I use this one example of, I like to go fishing on Lake Erie in July. And I just tell people, come up with a phrase, just use the first letter of each word. So it's a bunch of letters. It doesn't make a word itself, because a lot of people use a word. They use their pet's name, they use the street they live on. They use such common words, or 1 2 3 4 5 6 is a very common password, which is incredible. But I tell people, come up with a phrase or even a long song title. Come up with just use the first letter of each word. Then you can remember what that song title is or what that phrase is. And then you have to capitalize a letter somewhere, and you have to add a number usually, and sometimes even a symbol. But it makes it that much more difficult for anybody to get into your accounts versus, hey, I'm just going to use the same word or my pet's name over and over and over again. Um, and you can also sign up for financial alerts. And I recommend people do this on their credit cards, so that if any amount of money is changed, I have it on mine so that even if $1 is charged to a credit card, I get an alert. So I get alerts. In fact, it happened last year with my Discover card. Somebody was using it for something. I even called Discover before they even knew about it. I got a text alert, and I talked to the person in customer service, and he had to go looking for it, and he says, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I do see it." He said, "We can't do anything until it actually processes." Believe it or not, they couldn't stop it mid-cycle, but at least I knew it was coming, so that I knew when I got my credit card statement, I was already, I had already told them about it to charge it. But I always make sure that I put these alerts on my phone so that I get a text alert when I do use my credit card. And you could set a minimum of $50 or $100, but I just set it at $1. I want to know if anybody's using it. And most of the time it's me, that I'm using it. But, those cases where it's not me, then I'm, going to be able to know about it sooner rather than later. And I always tell people to put two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication on their account, so that when you go into your bank account or maybe even a credit card account, it asks you to, um, they'll send you, do you want us to send you an email? Do you want us to send you a text message or some other method? And which email address do you want us to use? So that they're actually sending it to you to authenticate that it really is you using that bank account online or using that credit card online. And it's just another way of trying to keep your information secure. Again, it's a pain, to do it, because now you're requesting this authentication and they have to send it to you, but it really is worthwhile. And, you know, after you've bought some things online and you're expecting them and you're going online to the shipper's website to see what the status is and if it's been delivered or where it's going to be delivered, what date, there are still people that we call them porch pirates that steal packages. And now a lot more people are home because of the coronavirus than have ever been before during the day. But still, there are a lot of people or a lot of essential workers who are working. They are not at home. So there are alternatives where you can have a package sent. You can have it, held at maybe the UPS store. So you have to go pick it up, or, Amazon has a locker in some places, Amazon locker, where you can have your packages sent so that on your way home from work, you can pick them up and not have to worry all day, did somebody steal my package? And if something still went wrong, you think you did everything right, but a product arrives damaged or defective, you still have some legal rights with respect to electronic funds transfer or credit cards, and disputing some of those things because it wasn't your fault that it arrived damaged, or maybe it never arrived at all, and you don't know what happened to it. And in some cases, some of these places are really being good about substituting, shipping a second item to you free of charge, which is amazing because I don't know how they can afford it because it gets expensive. But you see all these videos all the time of people's their ring doorbells or their security systems catching people coming onto their porches and stealing their packages. But um, and also not only don't save your username and password to these websites, don't save your credit card information, don't save the numbers. I know it makes it easier, like I said, to go on there, and sometimes they'll ask you, uh, do you want to save it for future purchases? And we'll keep it secure. It's what they say. And I still say, no, thank you. I don't want to keep it. And sometimes they'll keep it without even asking you. Maybe now they have to, but in the past, sometimes I'd see it and I say, hey, I didn't ask them to keep this. And you definitely want to, make sure they don't keep it, because there's a thing that they call it credential stuffing that criminals do. If they can get your login credentials, they can use those same login credentials. Once they find out what a username and password is, they can go to every bank website there is. They can go to every credit card website there is. They can go to major store websites and try and use them, and if they can get in because they hacked your username and password and they got it somehow, what they're going to do is they're going to change your password. So you can't get in now to your own site using what you thought was your username and password. They'll go in and they'll change it. So then you're locked out of doing anything. And not that a lot of people are traveling nowadays, but I always tell people to shred the little receipt that you get when you go through, to get on the plane with your seat on it, your ticket, because there's barcodes on there. And I was told by a security person that the barcode might contain some personal information or maybe even your credit card information, which, obviously can be used over and over again. So a lot of people might not be traveling so much right now during the holidays, but usually it's a very high travel time. And actually, I had a friend who went from where I am down to Florida, and she said the plane was packed. So there are still quite a few people that are traveling, and it's the airport again, airport hot free Wi-Fi that can get people into trouble too. So,
Wow. And now I have a couple questions for you, Pat.
hmm
Um, I had a friend who mentioned to me that there are different browsers that are safer to use, and I'm using something called Brave. Um,
hmm
I know that I've encouraged people to get off Yahoo because it is very spammy. Do you have any browsers that you would recommend, or security, internet security things that you would like to recommend to people?
Another one that my company does recommend, because when you become a member, you get access to licensed private investigators, and they have actually recommended Brave and also DuckDuckGo as another one.
Great.
There's another one called Ghostery. I haven't tried that one, but I have used DuckDuckGo. And yes, they don't follow you like Google does. And I tell people too, uh, if they're doing anything that they're talking about confidential information at home, or they're, if you're even giving your confidential information over a cell phone, a credit card number, buying something, to somebody online, you might have an Alexa or a Google Home listening to you in the background. And you know how that is. Then the next thing you know, whatever you're talking about shows up on your phone and shows up on your browser next time.
Scary. Ugh.
But places like Brave and DuckDuckGo, they do not follow you. So those are better websites to use. Yeah.
So you were saying, talk to us about the COVID incidences of scam and that you mentioned on the other
Yes.
call I listened to.
There are a lot right now. And as of, gosh, a few months ago, Americans had lost over $100 million with these scams just since March. Earlier in the COVID crisis, I did a presentation, and probably was in April or May, and it was 70 million. Then a couple months later it was 100 million. It's probably double that by now. But people will get emails, especially if there's a shortage of things. There was a shortage of testing equipment and PPE and toilet paper and everything else. So the scammers know this. So they will, if they have your email address, and they don't need much because our email addresses are all over the place, they can send you an email, a fake email. It looks pretty real, saying, "Hey, we have home tests. You can do the test at home. Looks real. The website looks real. The equipment looks real. You pay your money. You never get the test." Or treatments. There were people doing here fake cures. Hey, if you get COVID, you want to take this. I don't know what it was, silver something or other. They shut that guy down. There are pills. There are all kinds of treatments that people are saying are for COVID, but are totally fake. So people will buy these things thinking, I might need this. So I'm going to buy this. I'm going to have it on hand. Also, there are charity scams that are running rampant. Every time there's a big thing going on in the world, there are charity scams. And people are putting fake websites out there. In fact, this is very interesting. There was a Facebook request I got. Well, I won't mention the guy's name, although maybe I should, but I thought, wow, this is interesting. He had a picture up there and he said he had cancer and he needed all this treatment and he was trying to raise money. So he had a GoFundMe page up for himself. And I said, well, I was listening to the message. It didn't sound like it looked like the person. And he moved 20 times in this year alone, all these things. I said, this is a perfect case of a Facebook scammer who borrows other people's pictures, puts them up there, says, oh, woe is me. And I don't know if he said he had COVID too, but people, a lot of people have COVID. So they're putting up websites. So this family member died of COVID, or I'm putting it up on behalf of someone else. Um, but you really have to, do you know the person? It's the first thing I asked. There were about 8 of my friends that connected with this person. I knew like within a couple seconds that this was not real, just based on his profile information. I looked deeper into his Facebook profile and I texted each person individually. I said, "Hi, so and so. I see you're friends with this person on Facebook. Do you know him personally?" Not one person knew him.
Yeah.
But one person even said to me, "Well, a friend of mine knows him and I trust my friend. So if he connected with him, I trust that I should connect with him." I
No.
said, "Go back and ask your friend if he knows him personally." So everybody ended up disconnecting and blocking this person, not because I told them to do that, but after they looked at the profile, and one person said, yes, not only did he connect with me, he immediately went through my friend list
Oh,
and tried to connect. He farmed my friend list. So it's very, very, and people are vulnerable right now. People are feeling sorry for people, and you really have to know who you're connecting with, because you make one little connection and it just explodes. And then you're connected with people 10 degrees later, and you don't even know the first person.
and Pat, didn't you mention, I just am so thankful for your wealth of information, and your company is Legal Shield. And we'll have you share that information contact with you at the end of this recording. But really quickly, I wanted to mention, you said that we need to watch out over our kids being on our computers, and watching out for our elderly family members that might be online. Did you want to say a few things about that?
Yes, and that's a good reason why you don't want to store your logins, your passwords, or your credit card information on maybe an iPad that your child is also accessing to watch things for school, if maybe now they're at home, or even if they're not, it's not for school, but maybe they're watching a movie on your iPad, then all of a sudden the movie's over, and you're cooking dinner or you're out in the garage or something, and all of a sudden the next thing you know, they're buying something because they did a few clicks and pushed a few things and a pop-up came up. Hey, I want to buy that Paw Patrol thing. And now they're buying it and you have no idea. This thing comes to your front door and you don't even know. Or they could be sharing information. I had a guy tell me on Monday his son was watching something for school, for preschool, this was. He went over after this thing was over and looked, his son was on something that was from a foreign country on a website. He said he has no idea how his son even got there. but can you imagine, there are people constantly trying to get our information. If on that website they were trying to get into that, and maybe they did, I don't know, into that, notepad or iPad, and we're collecting maybe the parents' information because obviously it was the parents' iPad. And if they had saved logins and passwords and credit card information or bank account information, it could have been just taken right out, and
Frightening.
he wouldn't even know. Yeah, until then something happened, he'd say, how did this happen? I have no idea how this happened. And it's hard to put two and two together, but there have even been physicians that have been accused. I was on this FBI webinar, and some physicians have even been accused when you go in for COVID treatment or a COVID test, they'll do extra tests, or they'll say they did extra tests, or maybe they even do the extra tests that are unrelated just to get paid. So there have been physicians, charging things fraudulently. And it is just so many different opportunities out there, or it could be people posing as physicians that set up a fake doctor's office, and now they're saying that they're, um, selling these things. So I tell people, it's your information, it's your identity, it's your privacy, it's your reputation. Don't feel bad by double checking, triple checking, asking people for more information before you actually do business with them, or uh, you know trust them to friend them. Even on LinkedIn or Facebook, you need to know a little bit more about them. If something looks fishy, I mean, you can look at someone's LinkedIn profile or Facebook and kind of get an idea and see who they know. But if I don't know the person, I always
I don't think most people really do that before they friend. I'm just gonna be the devil advocate here. So as far as a password keeper, you mentioned that's a huge problem. Do you have a favorite app or a service that you would recommend to us where we can store passwords safely? I know they exist. I've had my web designer tell me I need to use them.
well, there are a few. I was on a call the other day with a cyber person, and he recommended LastPass, and I know some other
That's
professionals. Personally, I don't have them. I have them in a book. I have them in a book that I keep hidden in my house,
a hard
and
copy.
I
Wow.
don't put them online. I know, because
You don't have
uh,
that. You've done a great job of explaining. So, Pat, let's just go over briefly. If we had to, we don't want to overwhelm people, but we want to give them a strategic plan of action of how to safely protect our credit cards and our money and our bank accounts and our, all of our information. So the first thing that I heard you say is do not shop with a debit card, shop with a credit card.
correct.
Okay. The second thing is I'm thinking people should be shopping, maybe just switch over to Brave. While you're doing your online shopping, open a new browser window. It's very easy for me to use. Um, don't store passwords in your on your computer. And then what would
Or credit card information, or
that's
bank.
That's right. And then, didn't you say that the theft has gone up like 300% during COVID, or what were you saying? There was some kind of percentage you mentioned. Do you remember that?
Um, yes, I think that is correct. Uh, I don't have it right in front of me, but it skyrocketed. And I didn't even talk about unemployment identity theft, but that has happened to people too, where people who are working, someone has gotten their social security number and applied for unemployment, and is collecting unemployment under this person's social security number, even though the person is working. I watched a whole webinar from the FBI on that. So, I mean, it's very important to try to secure your social security number. I mean, a lot of places have it already. You have to give it to every place you want credit. You have to give them your social security number, but certainly don't carry your social security card in your wallet, and
Okay.
don't keep it in your, a lot of people will tell me, "Oh, I have all my passwords and my notes on my phone." No, because if you lose your phone, you've lost everything.
And have
Don't
a password on your phone
and
too.
have a password on your phone. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
Pat, you are such a wealth of information. I really appreciate you spending all this time and energy going through this. So my question to you is, if we connect with you and follow you, you're sharing some of this amazing tips. You're sharing it on your LinkedIn and your Facebook page. Is that correct?
My business, yeah, and sometimes my personal, but mostly my business Facebook page. I'll put tips or I'll put articles up about different things that people should be aware of.
Yes.
That
No. And then your company, Legal Shield, protects people in a whole bunch of ways. And before you talk about that, I want you to share your website so people can connect with you and get on your mailing list.
okay, it is just my full name. It's patriciaherberger.com. So you have to spell out the Patricia, Patricia, Herberger, Herberger.com. That's my Legal Shield and ID Shield website, and you can send me an email through there, contact me through there, call me. My phone number is on that website as well.
And
And
then
then, you could find me on LinkedIn under Patricia Herberger and under my Facebook business page, Legal
so,
Shield Associate Pat Herberger.
if people sign up for Legal Shield services, you go through all of this with people. Is that correct? You provide Can you share a little bit about the services that your service can help maybe older people or people who aren't tech savvy?
Yes, we actually have um, quite a comprehensive identity theft protection plan under the Legal Shield company umbrella. There's a legal plan and there's an identity theft plan. They're two separate things. And most people do get both only because 70% of identity theft has to do with, has legal implications because a lot of people think of identity theft as just credit, but only 18 to 20% of identity theft is credit. There's also criminal identity theft, medical identity theft, driver's license identity theft, financial identity theft, synthetic identity theft. So when someone enrolls in our ID Shield plan, we monitor all of this personal information of theirs to see if it's up for sale on the dark web. We also monitor your social media accounts to see if you're putting something out there that could put you at risk, unbeknownst to you. You may innocently post some information, or if it's hurting. Hmm? Yeah.
Nate's always like, "Don't be putting my business out in the street."
Or if you put something out there that could hurt your reputation, they will also alert you. And I say to people, that's handy because if somebody hacks your account and they start using swear words or vulgarity or saying things that aren't you, and you get an alert on your phone, and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, I got this social media alert," and you look at it and you say, "I didn't say that," you're going to want to call us.
Isn't it funny how many people are leaving their homes for the holidays or to go on a trip and then telling people, "Hey, we're leaving our house," and that still happens all the time.
It's amazing to me, and people then when they're surprised when they come home and their home has been broken into. But we also monitor your financial accounts. So what we found is that hackers are getting into people's retirement accounts or 401k accounts, bank accounts, and taking the money out. One lady lost $200,000. Another lady lost 72,000. So we added financial account monitoring. So we will monitor your accounts, and you can tell us what threshold you want to know. If it, 1,000 or more has been taken, $500 or more, $100 or more, and we'll let you know. And then we have an insurance policy so that if, we're obviously going to try to get the money back that you lost, but if we can't and you can't, we have an insurance policy to cover you up to $1 million. But it's super comprehensive. We even monitor sex offenders to see if they've moved within 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 miles of your home to protect your children, because there are more, children at home, and it's just something that we want to protect.
Pat, I've been stunned over the years. I've watched Legal Shield grow, and it really sounds like an amazing service. And I know I definitely have an appointment to speak with you, with my honey. Really impressed with all you've shared today. So I really appreciate it. So could you just give people your contact information? How would you like them to contact you?
Probably the easiest way is my website, which is just patriciaherberger.com. And there's all E's in the Herberger. Herberger. Just patriciaherberger.com.
You'll see if you look on the screen right now on this recording, you'll see her name spelled out. So please do reach out to Pat. Pat, thank you so much, and have a happy holiday. And I
Thanks.
look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
Thank you, Pat.